They want to eliminate what they call the deep state. The deep state is a cadre of professionals dedicated to honoring the Constitution, the laws of this country, and carrying out the policies of the Congress and the President. The deep state dedicated to carrying out the policies of the President. The deep state dedicated to carrying out the policies of the President.
And the president he's talking about is none other than Joe Biden. Joe Biden, the president who investigator Mr. Hur could not hide today while they talked about him in Congress. That's right, the man who investigated all of Joe Biden's illegal documents, the guy who found Joe Biden to be, well, just a little bit of a doddering idiot, but no charges are needed. Crazy. That's the deep state, folks, obeying and carrying out the orders of the president. And the president is carrying out the orders of the Obamas. And the Obamas are carrying out the orders of the World Economic Forum. And that's how that goes. I have zero evidence of that chain of command. Zero evidence. But if the World Economic Forum says we need to destroy America, and Obama says, I'm going to fundamentally change America, and Biden policies are destroying and changing America fundamentally, it sounds like they're all on the same fucking page to me. That's not a mystery. It's pretty right out there in your face. It's not a conspiracy theory. Seems to be a factual trail we can follow. Welcome to the Prepared Mind channel, folks, where shit has hit the fan. We know it, we talk about it, and we're getting ready to deal with the consequences as things get worse. Folks, it is a Take Two Tuesday, and I hope you had a good day. I've had one hell of a day. And I want to find out where we're at, and I want to know what you're thinking. So get your questions into Uman in the comment section. I actually heard that in Chicago, it's in the 70s today. Sounds like global warming is back. We went from mini ice age in the 70s to global warming in the 90s to global cooling in the 2000s. So let's just call it climate extremism, and that way everybody can pretend like they know what the hell they're talking about. Okay, folks, the deep state. The deep state. Wow. It's everybody from bureaucrats to lawyers, lobbyists, to corporate moguls, to even judges, federal judges. They're all working in the same direction. In fact, a federal judge has found a pro-life activist guilty. What were they guilty of doing? Well, singing a Bible song and quoting the Bible outside an abortion clinic, not inside an abortion clinic. He wasn't found guilty of obstructing the entrance to an abortion clinic. They were found guilty of singing religious songs and praying. So the government's job is to protect the murder of babies and silence free speech and quell the expression of religion. It's incredible. That is, folks, that is the government. That is the deep state. First Amendment, the right to express yourself, free speech, and free speech includes art and writing and broadcast. It includes singing. And if you're in a public area, like a sidewalk, you can sing. Why is there a problem with that? Now, if you're disturbing the peace, singing very loudly at 10 p.m. at night, I could see that being a problem. That is where we're at, folks. You are persecuted if you're a Christian. And if you're a fucking Satanist, Well, you can scream at the top of your lungs anywhere in public that murdering babies is a sacrament and you approve of it. And there's no crime there, I guess, right? I'm telling you, folks. Now, I think the kids are going to be all right. We went through a couple of bad, shall we say, salty generations of weirdos and shit stains. But I think kids can make a comeback. Kids are seeing now the human nature that I understand. And tell me if I'm wrong. Put your thoughts down below. Human beings, maybe this is just me. Maybe I'm just an antisocial prick. But growing up, I always questioned authority. Whether it was my own mother, father, teachers, police, the government in general, people in particular, religious leaders, I didn't care. If you said something, I was going, is he right? Is that correct? Do I have to? Anyways, for a while, kids are like, you're going to do what everyone else does and join the crowd, man. Be one of the sheep. That's fucking cool. Cut your dick off. Well, in Indiana, folks, a teen had an American flag on his truck. The high school he went to in Indiana told him, get that flag off your truck. You must remove it. He refused. Good for him. I'd like to shake that young man's hand. And in solidarity, folks, other kids, other students went and got American flags and stuck them on their fucking vehicles. Now, what I find amazing in this is not that the kids are all right. I've been waiting for kids to reject authority and government and join me and the rest of the real Americans in wanting freedom and liberty. But what caught me on this is schools. They'll support children misfiguring themselves, massacring their body parts, chopping their genitals to pieces, taking drugs that screw their brains up so that they don't go into puberty. They'll use surgery. They'll use drugs. They cut off body parts. But hey, schools will not allow free speech. Oh, fuck that. We can't have people talking and saying what they want and expressing themselves with flags or Bibles or in any other way. But hey, after school Satan, come this way. Hey, you want to destroy and disfigure your body? Great. Step right in this room over here. Teacher will hook you up with a company that'll give you some drugs, lickety split. Don't worry, won't tell your fucking parents. Do you see schools as indoctrination centers? Folks, I thought they were indoctrination centers back in the 1980s. I thought they were bad then. I fought them tooth and fucking nail on everything. Kids, stand up for your rights. Kids, wake the fuck up. Kids, make your own decisions for yourself. Oh, man. All right. Now, with respect to government, when it is a fearful servant and not a terrible master, when it's a fearful servant, it is a good thing. In 16 different states, the attorney generals have challenged Maine's totalitarian, authoritarian, bullshit bill. And what bill am I talking about? Well, Maine has a bill that protects, it sanctifies transgender surgeries for children. I say join the fight, folks. Join the fight. Support the states that support children's health, that support good decision-making, morality, decency. Fuck. I never thought I would be 54 years old and screaming and yelling for morality to be the winner. Never thought. I figured people would understand and figure it out for themselves. I mean, how hard is it? Geez. Anyways, they've got some big trouble, folks. We all have some big trouble. Right, Maine, Congress, the Assembly, the Senate, write their fucking newspapers. How many people live in Maine? Right? It's being run by a bunch of lunatics the same way Oregon and Washington are, as semi-rural, very small style, states. These fucking communist folks, they're everywhere. You know, we need to be active. I've told you guys, and I want to thank you for your patience, for tolerating me continuously saying prep to action. I know it gets cumbersome to carry that around, but there's new people that come to this channel. And when you share the internet address, people show up and they learn. So they're going to hear prep to action. What does that mean? What the fuck are you talking about, John? Prep to action. Food, have that. 3 months, 6 months, a year's worth of food. Water. Make sure you've got access to water. You can store water. You can save water. You can purify water. You can sanitize water so you can drink the water. Food, water, shelter. That means your bunker, your house. Right? You need to have proper shelter to get through a shitstorm. Right? Food, shelter, water, clothing. Hey, if you live up north in Chicago, it could be 70 one day. It can be below freezing the next. You never know. Make sure you've got proper clothing. Medicine is a big one. In today's day and age, right? First, they screw us up with all these chemicals in the food. Then they say, hey, take these drugs to fix all the problem the food chemicals did to you. Make sure you've got proper medicine. It's not just prescription drugs, but first aid kits. And make sure you have a first aid book and understand the tenets of first aid and health. And then finally, self-defense, which is, in my opinion, self-explanatory. It explains itself when I say self-defense. Pew, pew. Okay. Right? So you do that. That is prepping. And then taking action is telling political leaders to obey their oaths, obey the Constitution, or they're going to be held accountable. Now, in Mississippi, the Secretary of State there has decided to take his oath, well, intelligently. What did he do? Well, the Secretary of State called the Department of Justice and said, hey, you will cease. You need to cease enforcing Joe Biden's executive order that allows illegals to register, to vote. So I say write, text, call the Secretary of State and the Department of Justice and tell them you support this idea wholeheartedly. I mean, these politicians, folks, they get yelled at all the time. You stupid son of a bitch. Follow the Constitution, you fucking weirdo, right? They get that a lot. In this case, you'd be calling the Secretary of State and the Department of Justice, the Attorney General's office, saying, obey the Constitution. You guys are doing great. We support you. We stand behind you. We're going to vote for you, yada, yada, yada. We need that, folks. We need that. We need positive reinforcement for positive action. So you want positive action? Let me give it to you right here. The NAACP is telling black students, black athletes, to not go to Florida colleges. That's positive reinforcement for people who are conservative. That's right, folks. That's good. That is smart of the NAACP. It's good for Florida because only Republican blacks will come to Florida. Republican black athletes will come to Florida because they're not afraid to be, to be off the plantation, to step away from government, making sure you feel good. Right? No government organization, no level of government panders to me. No politicians, no bureaucrats send letters to me, write to me, meet me and say, John, we really want you to be this way or that way. Let us kiss your ass and try to make you feel good and feel welcome and feel important and smart and special. They do that to minorities all the time. They suck up to them. They pander to them. To me, it's fucking insulting. I would be insulted. But, for the weak, they enjoy that. Makes them feel good. For people who are self-sufficient, intelligent, want to stand on their own feet, it's a fucking insult. But that's the world we live in, folks. So thank you, NAACP. Make sure you tell all the liberal black students and black athletes Go to colleges up north, like Harvard. That's a really good school these days. All right. I take it we've got questions coming in at a regular pace down there. Ooh, man, looking good. All right. Yeah, we got some good stuff coming, and that is good. Now I've got this, folks. We just talked about some politicians doing some good things. That's good for America because shit is at the fan, and we're going to need that. And we talked about the kids, the young people. They're starting to want their freedom and liberty, and they're starting to stick together and say, hey, fuck you, schools. That's good. But there's bad things happening as well. We have a war in front of us. We win little battles, we lose some battles, but we got to keep our eye on the ball, and that is, well, winning the war. So, in order to commemorate the winning of the war, another Republican has resigned from Congress. That's right. The great, smelly, stinking sack of shit rhino named Ken Buck. He's going to retire next week. He can't even wait until the election. He's retiring next week. So Republicans now have a razor thin, tiny majority. Apparently, this caught Speaker Make America Great Again, Mike Johnson, MAGA Mike. Apparently, he's shocked. I'm not shocked in the fucking least. Rhino retribution? Is that what this is? Republican name only, Rhino retribution? Or is this an anti-Trump tirade? Or is the Rhino Republican slogan, is it, hey, fuck America first instead of America first? Folks, these lying sack of shit Rhino Republicans, they want our country to be at war just as much as the Democrats want our country to be at war with itself and within our own borders. Thank you, Rhino sacks of shit. Oh, trust me, folks, there's going to be hell to pay. There will be hell to pay. It's coming. It truly is, folks. And I'm going to be on the the dishing it out into things. I sure hope you're prepared. Wow. Just fucking wow. Good golly. What is this? Did you hear about the Boeing whistleblower? Boeing, one of the greatest aircraft manufacturers of all time, right? A B-19 or B-21. The B stands for Boeing. The B-1 bomber, Boeing. Well, Boeing has been making jets, right? The 747, the 777, right? Well, for a long time, their mainstay was the 737. Safely take off, safely fly, safely land. And then they said, well, let's update the fleet. Let's bring in engineers from around the world. Let's get our electronics devices from third world shitholes where labor's super cheap. Let's make sure we buy our components from a country that doesn't certify the quality of their metals. Great fucking ideas, every last one of them. Because if we save $100,000 on a $30 million plane, we've done a great job, really. You're going to save a little bit of money and put everyone at risk. Wow. So a Boeing whistleblower. Because the 737 MAX, what happens to them? Well, first, they would take off and then they'd spiral and crash. That's a problem. Look, the fucking wheels fall off of one the other day. There's a problem. Fucking side of the airframe comes apart and flies off. There's a problem. So this whistleblower, he said, hey, Boeing's fucking up. I got proof. He was found dead. Can you believe it? Just days after testifying against Boeing Manufacturing, Boeing Corporation. He was found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Suicide alert. He was Arkancided. He got Hillarized. Now, once again, we always say, hey, if you're gonna come out, name names. Name names, places, events, times. Name the names. Once you get it out there, if they kill you, they know, well, Boeing was like, oh, we don't give a fuck. We're going to kill you anyway. That's the speculation, folks. Allegedly, according to dangerous conspiracy theories. You know what's dangerous is mega corporations that have billions of dollars on the line. And in order to save 10 or $20 million in a year over billions of dollars of income and business, they're willing to kill. You bet they'll fucking kill people. I don't trust any of these cocksuckers anywhere, folks. Literally. Wow. I'm having a good time today. I sure hope you are, right? I just want you to remember that in Ukraine, they want to demolish the green rat. How do you feel about that shit, folks? Every time we hear about elite warriors, elite fighters, elite military units in Ukraine, it always turns out to be the Azov battalion. Bunch of fucking Nazis. Literally. They have the swastika as their symbol, folks. They tattoo it on their bodies. They even put it on their fucking tanks. The Ukraine elite fighting groups, right, have been caught. They leaked some chats they were having, and they want to toss Zelensky. Now, they use the word in this news article nicely. They say they want to depose Zelensky. And then they say, let's demolish this green rat. Demolish and depose. Those are two different words. And speaking of rats, the Prime Minister of Haiti, Mr. Henry, has resigned his office. Now the government is vacant. Vacant. If he has resigned, who is taking his place? The Vice Prime Minister? Right, Prime Minister. Is there a Speaker of the House version they have there? Or are they just going to promote barbecue? Barbecue the Marxist? Or is it barbecue the anarchist? Or is it barbecue the, the man named Barbecue is definitely, folks, overthrowing the country's leadership in Haiti. What an incredible story that's going to be. What a world, folks. What a world. And it's only Tuesday. It's only Tuesday, folks. And this popped up. We talked here about, American policy. We talked about some domestic issues. Why don't we talk about Russia? There's a lot of questions out there now. And one of them is Russia blackmailing Germany? See, Germany's been quite an interesting piece. Germany is the industrial muscle in Europe. It is the most productive country in the European Union, meaning it produces the most GDP. Parts of Germany have called for direct war and intervention with Russia. Other parts of Germany have said, hey, we need to knock this shit off over Ukraine. Well, apparently there's a leak that's not kosher, not adding up. And it's called the Taurus leak. In any event, it's starting to appear that Germany's military might be sympathetic to Russia. I find this fascinating. It wouldn't surprise me at all, folks. People have had it with this shit. The only people who are screaming for war with Russia are politicians and corporations that stand to benefit from a wider more aggressive, more destructive war. And the idea of war being good for the economy is a 100-year-old fairy tale. It's continuing to prove itself to be bullshit. If you if you destroy $1 billion in infrastructure, the idea is, well, we'll put people to work rebuilding that $1 billion in infrastructure. Except the $1 billion the infrastructure piece cost is now going to cost $3 billion. And it's going to be new taxation and new money borrowing with new interest. How is that productive? To destroy something that is good, right? A bridge costs money to build. So blowing it up throws that money away. It throws all that former productivity away. The only people who benefit from war, folks, are those who get the contracts during and after the war. And those go to expensive, powerful friends. So after World War I, well, the major corporations said, fuck, we made some money on that shit. Let's do it again. And so then they funded Hitler. That's right. The banking system funded Hitler, directly funded the Nazi regime. And then they funded the companies that built tanks, airplanes, ships to go fight the machine that they funded with loans. Isn't that interesting? They funded both sides. They loaned money to both sides. They built equipment for both sides. Ford Motor Company was building trucks, der diesel for the Führer's army. Unbelievable, folks. But the people don't want that shit. We don't want that shit. It's interesting. I think the military is looking at this going, wait a minute. Germany's like, holy shit, we're close. You got Poland over there, Hungary, Romania, then Germany, man. We're close to this whole Ukraine thing. We're going to send our military over to Ukraine to get slaughtered. It's going to be quite a shit show, I tell you. Quite a shit show. Ah, wow. It's crazy. Now, what do we have going on that's happened before? Well, back in 2020, Trump was winning. Trump was going to win. Also in France, Marine Le Pen, who ran against Emmanuel Macron, right? She was leading, and then she somehow managed to lose. And way back in 2016, again, Trump, Marine Le Pen, winning. Trump actually did win. But now here we are in 2024. Trump is stomping the shitball in chief, Biden, stomping him in the polls. And over in France, Marine Le Pen, who is a conservative, is leading in the polls. Emmanuel Macron, France's presidente, he's losing by 10 points. So what does he want to do to fix everything? Well, Macron, he wants a bilateral agreement with Ukraine. And he told Parliament to vote on it. What's a bilateral agreement? A security agreement. Well, if Russia invades Ukraine, France is going to be right there to help them out. And, it's funny because a bilateral means it goes both ways, right? Kind of like bisexuals, right? They go both ways. Look out. Anyways, as if Russia attacks France, then Ukraine will come and help them, guaranteed. It's not really a bilateral agreement. It's more like a fucking bribe. Why does France? So ask yourself the question: why is France so intent on fighting and kicking Russia out of former Ukrainian states? What does France have to gain from eastern Ukraine being restored back under Kiev instead of under Moscow? Sounds like Macron and the French, the French deep state, that is, sounds like they've got an axe to grind and something to gain, Sounds like they may have lost something. That's the world we live in, folks. Corruption, 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 bribery, graft, carpetbagging grifters everywhere. Let's go on to the inner circle where your questions come next. Woo! Here we go. Mr. Ooman, it is now time for the inner circle. What do you have back there? Hey, look, it's Abraham. No, it's Joe from thepreparedmind.club. Says, my grandson is supposed to go on a road trip with his other grandma from Tulsa, Oklahoma, down to Houston, Texas. I was wondering if you could give me some info on the road travel to Houston. I'm not feeling good about him going for a week, but my son is insistent because he needs to see his grandfather. I'm more concerned about safety. It will be the other grandma and 4 kids. Not a good situation. Can you give me something to stand on? My son thinks I'm crazy. Please help. Go back to the first part of that, if you would, Mr. Ooman. Thank you. And Joe, here's what I have to say. You gotta let go and let them make decisions. Right now, the road from Tulsa to Houston is not a dangerous road. It's not a death road. I understand your reluctance to let them head south into Texas because of the threat coming across the border. Because if you travel through a big city, there's a lot of blue state morons there. The good thing is Texas is still Texas as well. I would much rather have my sons living in Texas than my sons living on the West Coast. But you have to let them go and let them make their own decisions. I know that's tough. You know, it was tough raising my sons and getting to the point where here's the keys to the car, or here's the keys to the truck, right? Hit the road, head out on the road. Right? You just got to let him grow up and let him go. And once you see that he's okay, right, it'll build his confidence and he'll feel good. And if you believe in him, they'll believe in you. That's about the best I can do as far as supporting that. I don't like letting people I love drift too far away. But it's just that kind of world. It's like, what do you do? You can't coddle people their entire lives. You got to let them grow up and make their own decisions. But like the military, it's a good learning experience. There's a lot of risk to it and a lot of heartache, but there's some reward to it as well. Your grandson might see some shit that shocks the fuck out of him. Apart from visiting other family members, I got that. But there's lessons to be learned out there. And sometimes the best lessons are learned because of difficulties. So let's roll with that, Joe. That's my recommendation. As far as the road, take the straightest, fastest road. And don't pull over in the big cities. When I travel and travel distances, I tend to pull over and use gas stations in rural areas or restaurants in rural areas. I will not get off the fucking freeway in big cities. As soon as I do, I start freaking out because big cities suck. All right. Thank you, Joe, very much. Mr. Ooman, where do we want to roll from here? What do you have in mind? Hey, there we are.
Hey, can I just interject some thoughts on that?
Let's have it.
Yeah, I just want to tell Joe, look, I've traveled from Chicago all the way down to Florida about 5 times in the last few years. And as long as you're not getting off, like you were saying, in the big cities into some questionable areas, everything out there is fine. I mean, you just got to make sure you plan your trip, check out your car before you go, make sure everything's in good running condition. Try to travel during the days. Don't get caught somewhere you don't know the area at night. I believe between Tulsa and Houston, the only major cities you're going to be traveling through would be Dallas, Fort Worth. So I mean, if you pass through there in the middle of the day, it's not going to be a problem.
Yep.
That's all I had to say.
Yeah. As a kid, we took a field trip from rural California to San Francisco. You want to talk about a shocker, culture shock, and eye opener to a 12-year-old kid? That was some shit.
That was a culture shocker for a 30-year-old guy when I went there.
It was culture shock, and I took my own sons down there for Easter. One of my sons was 14, the other was 12 at the time, and eyes as big as saucers, looking at all that crazy shit. So there's a lot to learn, good lessons to learn. And on that particular trip, I remember carrying my 45 in the small of the back, had my concealed weapons permit. And we stepped out of one of these goofy theme restaurants in San Francisco. Children's theme, not adult freaky ones. Anyways, we jumped out. A van pulled up. The doors flipped open on the side. They were like flip open, not a sliding door, but a flip open door. Two people jumped out, grabbed someone, pulled them back in the fucking van right in front of us. I thought, holy shit, right? I got the kids out of the way, reaching the small of the back. And you know, it was like, there's a fucking lesson for you. That's how quick shit can change.
Wow.
Luckily, they weren't after me, or the kids. They went out. It was some weird shit.
Weirdest thing I saw was my wife and I and another couple went to a bar, and they had a little stage on the front. There were all these girls up there dancing, and their tops kept falling off.
I hate
my buddy goes, "Hey, those aren't girls.
Those aren't girls."
Oh, yeah, we had a couple beers, and I had to go to the bathroom. I said, "Bill, this is the first time I've ever asked anybody to do this, but will you go to the bathroom with me?"
That's good. Yeah, today I was talking to my assistant is 25 years old, and he's a heterosexual, not a homo. And he's like, "Man, it's rough out there, John. It's just rough." He goes, "You don't know what you're going to run into or find." And
at least we never had to guess.
No, he
never had to do a pants check.
Oh, yeah. We've been doing cup checks since I was a young guy.
Yeah, well,
I was a Marine. A lot of guys went down to Tijuana, and at the time, even back in the late 80s, that was a hub for transsexual surgeries.
Wow.
Just over the border there, so scary stuff. Scary shit. I stayed away from TJ.
Tijuana.
Yeah. Tijuana, man. Anyways, yeah. All right, keep it on the straight and narrow. Keep it loaded. Keep it clean. All right, Mr. Ooman. Thank you for adding to that.
Oh, how do I turn myself off here? Oh, there we
go. See, sometimes I invite him. Sometimes he just shows up. He's like the SWAT team. He had some information he needed to get in there. Anyways, who do we have next, Mr. Ooman? Name redacted. He says, we are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming America. 5 days away? Well, it's the 12th of March. I thought March 15th was the day that everything goes crazy. What happens in 5 days? What did I miss? But it seems like every few months we get a date. I do know, though, that in March it starts. And that it has to do with commercial real estate, loans coming due, refinancing required. That's the only thing I know of. But it's not a particular day. It's just kind of like a time frame. So the government says, look, we're going to do loans. Everyone doesn't apply on the one day, and it's stretched out over time. So over the next several months, commercial real estate is going to affect the market a little slowly, sometimes maybe a little more quickly. And we're expecting bank failures. So something to definitely keep an eye on. Thank you, Mr. Redacted. Mr. Uman, where are we rolling next? Who's got something to say? Predictions, prognostications, looks at history. And it's Chin Music. And he says, hey, oh, shit. Folks, we've got to have some kind of Southern get together. And we've done it in the past. Uman, one time he duct taped me to the couch in the mobile command center and drug me down into Florida. And we got to do that again. Anyways, Chin Music. I can't wait to meet you. I think destiny awaits. And that could be a funny meetup. Anyways, he says, John, I teach kids every day. They either end up going somewhere else or they end up Americans. Well, that's really a good way to put it, man. When I talk to people, I like to ask them questions. And I'm a little bit tricky in that I'll ask a question that there's only one good answer to. One good answer. So they have to admit that they want to be Americans, that they want to be free, that rights are more important than government, and that's great. And that's teaching, not indoctrinating, but teaching kids to think. Right? Let me give you the for example. Do you want to keep your body intact as you were born, which gives your body the best chance at a long, healthy, comfortable, satisfying life? Or do you want to go the other route and take drugs that will forever and permanently alter your mind, that will forever and permanently alter your body, and then combine that with surgeries that result in, well, the destruction of your body, shortening your life, putting you in constant pain and misery, and then as a resulting consequence of it all, you are bound, you're going to love this, Uman, statistically bound to be a miserable fucking sod your whole life and have to take more drugs to try and remain non-suicidal. Which one makes more sense to you? Going with how you're born, living good, or thinking you're some kind of fucking Mr. Potato Head? We can just take parts off and put parts on and you're fine. Anyways, yes, there you have it. Thank you, Chin Music. Keep teaching kids, man. Everyone. I love it. Everyone's opportunity in life. Make mistakes and learn from them. Learn from other people's mistakes. And then teach kids from your mistakes. Teach them so they don't make the big mistakes. Teach them to think for themselves. Teach them to get more information before making decisions that are going to affect their entire life in a negative fashion. That's great. It really is great. Teaching kids, being a teacher, how cool is that? You get to have fun. And folks, when I raised my sons, I had so much fun raising my sons. It was fun. Right? It's a lot of work, but it was fun. Well, when you're teaching other people's kids, you get to have fun by teaching them how to be real human beings, but you don't have to pay for it. You don't have to feed them every day and pay for that. You have to pay for their health insurance. Oh, anyways, folks, children, are they our future? No, children are not my future. Children are their own future. I don't want to raise them to love big government and pay big taxes so they can support me. Fuck that. I want them to live for themselves. Make America great, yes, for themselves, as well as to protect everyone else in their lives. That's just my thoughts. Just my thoughts. Mr. Uman, where are we rolling next? Well, if it isn't Cyber Hana checking in. And she says, my son had a mistrust of being what a docent's... Oh, my son had a mistrust of being what to do since elementary school. He refused to do the Pledge of Allegiance, not because of the politics, but because he didn't know what he was pledging to. He's still the same. He just needs to know why. The more he learns, the less he wants to comply. Yeah, the Pledge of Allegiance. I did the Pledge of Allegiance as a child, and it scared me in a way because it's and to the republic for which it stands. I thought it was for witches stands. I was like, holy shit, there's witches on the stand? It's tough. But the Pledge of Allegiance, though it has its Germanic origins, if you would care to look into that, it teaches children about the country. It helps instill a sense of patriotism. It just does. It's something very American. Prayer in schools is something else that was really good for kids. When I have attended government meetings where they open with a prayer, I get it. Now, when I am told you must pledge allegiance, that's when I go, no. You don't tell me what I must do. I will exercise my own intelligent thought on this. So when I've been told I must pledge, I won't do it. When I am told I have the opportunity, you bet I will. Right? The national anthem. When they're singing that, I will stand. I will put my hand over my heart. I will face the flag because it's our country. There is no other country like it. And if they ever started singing the second verses of the Star-Spangled Banner, that would set those communists off. That's why they hate it so much. What we hear is very lightweight compared to where that song goes. Anyways, enough of that. People need to know why. Give them the explanation so they can understand. Like I said, people, they don't really have enough information about this whole gender ideology shit. I give them enough information, like, no, I'm not going to do that to myself. It's like, oh, really? Well, I thought it was cool, right? Go ahead and try explaining to someone who doesn't understand what the LGBTQIA world is all about. Once they learn, it ain't so cute and it ain't so pretty. Once they learn what it's about, it ain't so cute and it ain't so pretty. All right, Mr. Uman, where do we want to go next? Thank you, Cyberhana. And now we've got Barking Wolf Spider. Up, here we go. He says, my father taught me about the pledge and the Constitution. Bam! As should be done. It should be done. I also think that parents should teach children about communism so they understand it, what it is and how dangerous it is, how many people have been killed, what it does to the human spirit, the economy, what it does to a nation, how it inspires corruption, abuse, destruction. Anyways, as it should be done, so we avoid it. My education, says Barking Wolf Spider, started long before any school. But that's just the thing. One of the reasons we have the crap going on, failure of the family teaching the children. Now we see what we get when we let the government and their employees raise and teach in the parents' stead. That's correct. Parents have an obligation, a duty to their own children to teach them. Our children, it's amazing being a parent. If you've been a parent, you are a parent, you understand. Your kids, my kids, looked up to me like I was God's right-hand man and decision maker on this earth. They treated me like a king. Dad. Right? My son was 10. My other son was 8 when I won a strongman contest to show him this is what your body can do and understand what your brain can do. And they look at you, they look up to you. And it was my way of teaching them and also protecting them from the schools. My sons and their classes used to argue with their left-wing idiot teachers who tried saying, well, Obama's a great guy. And they argued with them. They fought with them. They were very conservative kids because they were taught. And the other kids in their school also were taught by their parents. But by the time we got to high school, that's when the shit started. Once you get to high school, your kids don't look at you like you're gods anymore. And you get enough riffraff from all the surrounding areas because high schools are centralized and they bring in all the shit and they start affecting your kids. So the best we can do is raise them, teach as much as you can, and then pray they make good decisions, learn from their mistakes, and ultimately want to be free and be Americans. Thank you, Barking Wolf Spider. Don't fail, folks. That's kind of why I brought my message to the internet. My kids were just about grown up when it was, I started doing the YouTube, get ready, shit is going to hit the fan. Shit has now hit the fan. Are you prepared? Because I want to teach people about what's going on. I want to give them alternative views, perspectives, to say, hey, there's other ways to think about what's going on. What's going on? Okay, let us continue, Mr. Uman. This is Uman. He says some reports are saying barbecue, that is the de facto military leader of the resistance, the coup in Haiti. They're saying the reports are saying he was a cop, and a corrupt cop at that. After all, Haiti is a third world shithole after all. Or they trying to paint him in a bad light to make the existing government look better. I read that he was a law enforcement. I read that he was in the military. This barbecue character who's the leader of the resistance. Apparently, Haiti has had a long and historic tradition of anti-government resistance. I am not surprised because I am certain that Haiti always has been a shithole with a corrupt government that seeks to enrich itself at the expense of its people. Now, years ago when Trump called, these third world places shitholes, Conan O'Brien went down to Haiti to show America that no, Haiti's a nice place. He stayed at a posh, 5-star fucking resort and probably didn't leave the site of his resort so he felt protected. It is a shithole. Now, do they want to make the government look better? I find this fascinating. Haiti's falling apart. It's not strategic to the United States. It's not full of resources. It is not a vacation and destination place, even though it should be or could be, if it wasn't such a living hellhole on earth. But this is what we got, right? There's a lot of fucked up islands down in the Caribbean and the Gulf. Look out, America. We could have barbecue-style takeovers of cities. Make sure you have plenty of Second Amendment, I love America protection. All right, Mr. Uman, what do we got? I know we're down. We've ticked the 10-minute mark, and we've got some time. And Barking Wolf Spider checks in again. He says, the simple fact is that if the people of Haiti are not backing barbecue and his G9 coalition of gangs, the G9 coalition that he's speaking of is this tradition of Haitians to have gangs that are anti-government. Now, if the people are not backing barbecue and his coalition, he wouldn't be having the success he is having. How bad was the government? Now, that I don't know. I just know that when you look at Haiti on a satellite map, you can see the difference between Haiti and its neighbor, the Dominican Republic. But yeah, if the people weren't backing barbecue, how is he so successful? Imagine your town or your municipality or your county. Imagine if a gang of shit stains armed themselves and threw out the police and threw out the city council and said, we own this fucking town. And we didn't support this person. You didn't support this person. Nobody supported them. They're just a bunch of gangs taking over. Well, I think the people would be well within their rights, certainly, to get rid of that form of government as well. And they would. And we would go in there and fucking destroy them. So in a way, it's like you're asking or making the point that it seems that Barbecue and his G9 thugs seem to have the support of the people because he is successful in his endeavors to get rid of President Henry, who is now resigned. He will be, folks, in exile. He will not return to Haiti. And do not forget, by the way, that the Clintons went down to Haiti to rescue children. They went to Haiti to rescue children. The Clintons, Bill and Hillary, and their entourage went to rescue children and got caught and were stopped from bringing those children back. Back to where? Well, we don't know because they never took them. But it's pretty scary when people like the Clintons, who were also involved with Epstein and Jizzy Maxwell, when they want access to children. Don't trust them any further than I can kick them. All right, Mr. Uman, where do we want to roll next? What do we got? Am I going to pick up on some of my stuff? Oh, Uman says, one man's freedom fighter is another man's terror or IST. Oh, terrorist. Yeah, one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist. Today, government officials, the deep state, they refer to George Washington as a terrorist. Paul Revere, terrorists. Sam Adams, terrorists. John Hancock, terrorist. They're terrorists, don't you know? Crazy stuff, folks. I guess it depends on what your idea of a freedom fighter is. Once again, understand in communism, they have a concept called freedom. Communists want freedom. But how do they define that freedom? The way they define freedom is if you don't have to worry about money, property, a job, clothing, school, rules, military, if you don't have to worry or think about that, if the decisions are made for you by someone else, you are free of the responsibility of being self-sufficient and self-reliant. They call that freedom. I call that slavery. When someone else is telling me what I'm going to do, where I'm going to live, that I can't own anything, that I don't even own myself, that if I'm going to go in the military, it's because they tell me to. If I'm going to have a job, it's because they tell me to. And I must do everything they say. To me, that's the opposite of freedom. That is totalitarian government. That is tyranny. It is communist. It is awful. So, what kind of freedom fighter do you want? Do you want the Vladimir Lenin, Joseph Stalin, Chairman Mao, Adolf Hitler style of freedom? Or do you want the kind of freedom that says, live life as you wish? I tell you what I'll take. Crazy stuff, folks. Ooh, by the way, did you know that they've got investigator Hoover? He admits that Biden tried to change classified documents scandal report, the classified document scandal report, before it was publicly released. He tried doing that. I call that interference. Well, get this. Communist Democrat, idiot, low IQ moron, Cori Bush. She referred to Trump during this hearing as the former white supremacist in chief. Isn't that fascinating? It's a hearing on investigator Hoover, what he discovered about Biden, classified documents that Biden had in possession. Oh, by the way, why haven't they impeached Biden? Why haven't they impeached him? Why have they not impeached him? He has earned his impeachment. Anyways, this idiot, this maleficent moron, Cori Bush, if you put her brain in a bird, it would fly backwards. She calls Trump the former white supremacist in chief. Because in her position, at their level, folks, these senators and these representatives, if they want to be disrespectful, then I have no problem as just a regular guy being the most disrespectful towards these idiots, these fucking lying sacks of shit, these self-serving, un-American sellouts in Washington, D.C., and I'll call them on it every fucking day of the week. Not to mention their lackeys in the FBI and everywhere else in the government. That's what we got, folks. That's the world we live in. Chance favors the prepared mind. Get prepared, prep to action. Share this video. Thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you're not on thepreparedmind.club or subscribestar.com. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Share these videos. I'll be back 0 dark 30. Godspeed. God bless America.